Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Dana again, and today you're at Research Road. This is a weekly series where we go through science and tech news with a bit of dry humor. Then we answer some questions from y'all. Today is the 11th of March, 2025, and 5 years ago today, in 2020, the World Health Organization declared that we were officially in a pandemic. Today, officials say we aren't really ready for the next one, and there will always be a next one. So, starting off with tech news, researchers created a genetically engineered woolly mouse which tested ideas that would be a step towards the de-extinction of the woolly mammoth. The effort is led by a company called Colossal. The CEO of the company gave a talk in Texas on March 9th. He was wearing an InGen shirt, which I personally find hilarious, but maybe sporting the logo of the parent company in Jurassic Park isn't the best PR move. The NASDAQ fell further into correction and was led by AI-related stocks. There's a question about that later. Tesla stock is down about 36% over the last month. Ouch! Bitcoin has fallen about 19% over the last month. And now on to space. So this is space and climate news. It looks like greenhouse gases will impact satellites in low Earth orbit. The satellite carrying capacity of popular low Earth orbit regions will be cut by more than half over the next 75 years. The shortest possible version of this is that density will decrease, which means drag will be reduced, which means space junk doesn't get pulled down as fast to burn up, which means more collisions. If you want some homework, do a web search for the Kessler syndrome and then factor in even more space junk. We may end up ruining our chances of getting to other planets because we won't take care of this one. This is my favorite solution for the Fermi paradox, by the way. Okay, enough nerding out about this. Now it's time to talk about the developing climate crisis. And in climate news, we have something about NASA. A NASA study tracked areas where land was sinking due to factors like sediment compacting or groundwater being pulled out. It found that a number of coastal areas are experiencing the problem, which will speed the effects of sea level rise. Canada announced a 25% tax on energy exports. Golly gee whiz, if only there were types of renewable cleaner energy we could invest in. Researchers are saying that global sea ice reached a record low in February. That's troublesome because sea ice reflects sunlight. So this might mean warmer oceans, which means less sea ice, which means warmer oceans, which means less sea ice. I'm sure you get the point. The U.S. is exiting the fund that compensates poorer countries for the effects of our pollution. In the world of animals, beavers are back, baby. Around 400 years ago, beavers were basically hunted to extinction in the UK. Beavers are a keystone species, and years after some were illegally released in England and their positive contributions to the ecosystem were studied, that part was done legally. The government is working out a reintroduction program. Just a reminder, releasing beavers without government approval is still illegal and carries pretty stiff penalties. If you're in Wisconsin and happen to know where a black bear den is, the Department of Natural Resources would like to know where it is. I feel like this should go without saying, but remain a safe distance away. The research is being used to gather information on black bear reproduction. Conservationists are expressing concerns about wolf reintroduction programs and how spending cuts will affect them. In health news, since 1990, the U.S. has seen a 14% decline in births. I am once again asking you to consider the possibility that destroying the economic stability of the working class is the leading factor. Now let's dig up the past a little. New research suggests the megalodon looked very different than we imagined for years. The gigantic shark that features in a whole lot of movies is most often pictured as an exaggerated great white. Well, it probably looked more like a giant lemon shark. The sheer size of the prehistoric shark makes it hard to imagine to begin with. Research says it could reach close to 25 meters, which is about 80 feet if you're American, or it's close to the length of 2 school buses if you're one of those who will measure in anything except the metric system. Everybody knows about Stonehenge, but there's a similar site called Flagstones that gets far less attention. Well, some radiocarbon dating has suggested we might need to rewrite some Neolithic history books. The dating suggests flagstones is older than Stonehenge, with some saying Stonehenge copied it. Remnants of a traditional ocean-going canoe were found, and archaeologists are saying it might be the most significant find of its kind and will likely give us a lot of insight about Polynesian voyaging. And now on to oddities. Research indicates that people view males as the default type of human. I think pretty much any woman could have told you this. And now we're going to answer some of your questions.
Dana, I'm watching a whole market correction led by AI stocks. There were absolutely no signs this was coming when Bell said this was a possibility. Your team has made weird predictions that turned out to be true before, but they were always in other subjects. I'm a day trader and didn't see this coming. I'm just curious if you could walk us through the methodology that gets used.
Okay, so trying to tell the future isn't my gig, and I'm assuming that's why you're asking me and not her. As near as I can tell, they don't look at one subject. They look at a bunch of subjects and see how they connect and where the, quote, friction points are. I don't know exactly what made her think this was going to happen this way, but whatever it was probably didn't have anything to do with the stock market. It was probably knowing the prices overall were high, counting on Trump causing uncertainty, and then knowing that with it off balance, any surprising development could knock them down and the rest of the market would follow. She might have even knew of a list of possible surprises.
Dana, your episodes are really hit and miss. They always cover the news, but sometimes they're very informative with lots of new scientific discoveries, and sometimes they're very bland. Can you do something about that?
I don't control the speed of research and new discoveries. I get what you're saying, though. Sometimes the episodes are basically, hey, here's some space news. The climate is going the wrong way and nothing else happened. And sometimes there's history rewriting discoveries to talk about. I'll put in a call to MIT and see if they can solve the mysteries of the universe at a more consistent rate. I'm joking, I really do understand what you're saying, but I don't really have a solution for that.
Can you explain the road to Atlantis that was found underwater near Hawaii?
It's a lake bed. Well, now it's the ocean floor, but it was a lake bed at one time. The still images that float around online always focus on one particular part where all the cracks create the appearance of bricks. There's footage, and in fact, it's on YouTube. If I can find it, I'll put it down below. That shows pretty clearly what it is. The funny part is that the researchers themselves were in awe of it. And one of them actually joked that it's the road to Atlantis. I'm guessing that's where the original meme came from. That looks like all the questions for this week. This week's quote is attributed to Larry Brilliant. Outbreaks are inevitable, but pandemics are optional. So that's all the data we have to date. Hope you enjoyed it and hope to see you again soon.